The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys! This is Mick Shots, streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app. Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And it is high noon on a Thursday here at the Star in Frisco inside the SWBC podcast studio. It's time for another edition of Mick Shots. Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola, who is fresh from the practice field. Cowboys are outdoors on this Thursday on the practice field.
Boy, it's wonderful.
Which is a contrast from a week ago. Last Thursday, they were indoors, so that's going to change the fortunes this week.
I might actually do some yard work.
Okay.
But remember what happened last Thursday when they were indoors.
All right. Producer Supreme Chris Beam is also with us. And Producer Supreme, tell us what happened last
Remember
Thursday.
it was Shoegate, so was it the turf? Remember
yes.
the quote-unquote
Dak Prescott
Shoegate.
turf day.
Maybe he heard a pop, all this stuff. He likes being on the grass. You know.
Yeah, but he's not practicing.
I don't think he's
they didn't
practicing.
ask
Unless
him,
you
"Do
got
wanna go outside?"
unless you got
No,
some
what I'm just
breaking
saying
news.
is he likes his team to be on the grass.
Oh, you're
practicing.
talking about Dak. I mean, you're talking about Matt.
No,
Mike.
like Mike likes his team on the grass practicing.
Oh, he's definitely
Regardless
he's
of-
always like that.
Regardless of all those people in the Dr. Pepper are on their little balcony watching practice, eating their lunch right now.
They don't know what they're looking at. Right?
You never know.
The media's out there, and they don't. Many people will agree that the media out there watching practice, they don't know what they're looking
I
at
agree
either.
with that.
Yeah.
Just remember, Tex Schramm used to buy out the second floor of that Days Inn.
Days in, baby. I had to tell somebody about that the other day. They couldn't believe it. I think I was telling my nephew. You know, and they're young. We were at the game, and they're like, guys, they had to patrol. We had to buy out the rooms and patrol the first, second. I think did it have
was
a third
the second
floor?
floor. No, I think it was the two floors.
Yeah, in 1982, a two-story Days Inn was considered a skyscraper.
Especially in that
Especially in
neighborhood.
this area, right? In that area. Hey, that was Richardson School District area.
And
I
that
went to
was-
Forest Meadows, right down the street. Baby.
And that usually was only before the game with the Redskins, too.
Oh, there you
Always
go.
Redskins.
That's
We
where
really
the paranoia was.
That's when we did it. It was only Redskins. There was no Philly, no Giants. And you would think the Giants would do something like that. You know, but no, Philly was, I'm sorry.
Okay, so this is your opportunity, Mickey, to tell the world out there what you saw on the practice field just moments ago.
This is going to be the first practice in pads for Michael Gallup. He had the pads on. He went through 7-on-7 yesterday. There was no pads, and I'm told he looked really good. And, he has been working kind of some one-on-one drills, I heard, with C.J. Goodwin off to the side when he was doing his rehab. Oh, there we go.
Speaking of
Another
alarms,
alarm goes off.
Alarms.
My bad.
Caught Mike McCarthy's press conference this morning.
He
There
had
was
it set for the start of Mick Shots, and it's 3 minutes late.
First of all, I'm snoozing, okay? Let's just stop with that. All right, I was on time. Let's go. Let's go.
He typically snoozes during mix shots, as does the rest of America
good
and
one.
world.
No,
That's a good word.
Just remember, you open this thing up for phone calls, and
man.
the phones start ringing on
That's,
the
Man,
that's
nice
right.
guy.
You're going to do it again today?
Well, no. Who was the
remember.
guy? Was it Kevin? Kevin? It was
and
Kevin.
actually got
And
four
He was
good
the one that got it
questions, right?
started, yes. He was the one. We got to give him
The
some
straw
love.
that stirred the drink.
Anyway, so Gallup will be in pads today, and we'll see if he does any teamwork. And It's one thing to do 7-on-7 because you're really not getting that physical on that. But I wonder if he does any team, and then, if he goes pads next week, then maybe for
Whoa. He can't just do team today and play
Right.
Sunday?
Yeah, let's hold the horses
What are
here.
you talking about next week? We're talking about this week.
Yes.
It's Cincinnati.
Yes.
This is AFC champions coming in here. We need him this week. Did you not see the game Sunday night?
Cooper needs help. He needs all the help he can get.
I can't imagine one practice in pads and you're ready to go after 9 months.
Okay.
What do you think?
You heard it
Yeah,
here.
this is Michael Gallup.
You saw what
Chris Godwin did it?
Yeah, and what happened? I was just getting ready to say, did he last 2 quarters? And he pulled a hamstring, right?
He really did.
Yeah.
He sure did.
So that's a good sign.
But he was playing well.
It's like first play of the game they went to him.
And Peters,
See,
he even caught the ball that bounced on the ground, and he
Yeah.
got a reception for it because
Yeah.
he's Chris Godwin. Did you see that?
How is it that referees come to? Is it the stadium itself? Is AT&T Stadium? Does it allow for incompetence from referees? We see some things where, like, first of all, that shouldn't even count. Why should we have to go to the replay when it never should have counted in the first place? You have eyes to look at that, and then for some reason they chose not.
And
to.
I thought, they were starting to buzz down if they saw something that needed to be corrected. I saw it. They had to see
Everybody saw it. Come on, man, it's ridiculous.
All the little rubber pedals
I think they're
bounced
too
up.
busy looking around at the stadium and
They're starstruck.
Yeah,
That's what they are. They're
really
starstruck.
Let's give me a break, man. Do your job.
So anyway, Jason Peters is in pads too today. Now I don't know how much he's going to do. He was doing a lot of grass work, or whatever you want to call it, stretching, running, resistance cord stuff, and he was doing that before the start of practice. So he's in pads. So I would imagine by next week, at least for backup duty, he should be ready to go, and who knows, maybe more. So that's a good sign because you know what? They can use his 330-pound body out there as a second blocking tight end.
He came up as a tight end.
Right.
He was a tight end when he came into the league.
I cannot see that.
325 pounds.
I cannot see
tight
that.
end in Arkansas.
I mean, we saw him yesterday, very light-footed, like you said, but I can't see tight end light-footed.
So
How
20
about
years ago, who would have been the head coach at Arkansas?
Houston Nutt? I don't know.
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was just wondering. Maybe he was thinking outside the box. You know, and said, okay,
he
make
was
this guy a tight
The
end.
box ain't
right?
big. Box ain't big.
Big box, right?
All right, but you heard Mike McCarthy's answer to the question about Jason Peters, about left tackle, right tackle.
And I'm not saying.
I'm not either.
And but he did say all of those things that you're talking about are being considered, or something like that.
Right.
Which I thought was interesting, that they are considering right tackle.
Well, why not?
So
Why not?
No, I'm not saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying. I'm not
you're just
disputing it. I'm
they
saying
are doing it.
just them acknowledging that.
Well, somebody needed to ask the next question. What about left guard?
I think that was kind of. I thought that was kind of. He just ran out of time. I think it was
Okay.
Ed Werder asking the question that left tackle, right tackle, and then he threw in or wherever.
Yeah, it's left guard wherever.
Yeah,
which
I
is
think
still
that might be right up there.
Which is still something that they got to look at now. Matt Farniak's going to do it, but like I said yesterday, what happens if something happens to him? Who's coming in? You're going to put a 6'8" offensive tackle at guard? That's probably not going to work.
Okay, so you think, Mickey, that there's no chance Michael Gallup plays on Sunday, right?
I think there's very little chance.
Very little chance. Okay, what are the chances on Jason Peters being suited up on Sunday?
I don't know.
Because he's ahead in the process, is he not?
But no, they're
The
tied.
ramp up? They're tied, okay.
Actually, Gallup would be ahead of him.
Well, he's been here longer, but he's
Yeah.
coming off an injury. But
Yeah, but he's been running.
Yep, and he is not there. They are basically tied. If they both go into team work today,
In pads for the first time.
yeah, then they're tied.
And I would think next week.
So we don't have any indication on what position he would be considered, correct?
It's going to be you're going to do like they did with Tyler Smith. He's
all right.
an offensive lineman.
So, okay, next question. Mm-hmm. If Jason Peters is not on the game day roster, okay, who is the backup interior offensive line?
They don't have it yet. You'll find out on Friday.
They're going to sign somebody?
Well, they got to either sign somebody or elevate them.
All right. Yeah. And so my question is, who in the building, who on that practice field is going to be, if Jason Peters is not it, who is it going to be who can play guard, center, guard?
Shepley.
There you go. Dakota Shepley.
Right.
Who's on the practice squad.
But they can only elevate 2 guys.
Right.
And you got to elevate the quarterback or sign him. Unless they put
you make an
a
injured
whole bunch of
reserve
guys
list.
on IR, right?
Injured reserve move.
And they might have to make 1 or 2 IR moves, and then you would be able to elevate 2 guys. So
anyway, the answer to my question is either Jason Peters or it's Dakota Shepley who's going to be on the game day roster on Sunday.
Yeah, somehow, some way. Somehow, some way, Will Greer will be on the 48-man roster.
I was wondering about that.
And somehow, some way, Brett Maher will be on the 48-man roster. Somehow, some way, Cooper Rush will be on the 48-man roster.
But either way,
they can elevate 2.
And right now,
we know
because Maher is still on the practice. So right now, I just moved up from 3 to 4. There are 4 players we know on the practice squad who are going to be on the 48-man roster on Sunday.
Somehow,
some way. So 2 of them can be elevated. So the Cowboys have to make 2 roster moves before Saturday afternoon.
And then we'll know
to take 2 players off the 53.
We'll know where they stand with those injuries with
the
2 guys that are 2
So
the
4. 2 candidates are Jaron Kearse and Connor McGovern as far as or Basham.
Right.
So there's 3 candidates
that
you could put on IR.
Absolutely.
So there you
go.
So
this is just a matter of addition and subtraction, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Just that simple.
But
and in this case, 2 and 2 equals 4.
It always does.
So there, we cleared that up.
All right.
That was a very productive first segment there. Kind of a roundabout way of getting there, but
when you
we
get
got
to
there.
watch practice.
All the accountants are just riveting. They're just waiting on their.
When you get to
but people like, for instance, let's say the Cincinnati Bengals, or probably the media in Cincinnati, they're going, wait a second, they look at the Cowboys roster and they say, wait, they only have 1 quarterback on the roster. It's Dak Prescott and he's hurt.
And the kicker, right?
They have no kicker on their
roster.
When did the Cowboys, was it last year they didn't have a kicker technically on the roster? Maybe Zerline got hurt.
It was a COVID deal, and Hairulahu wound up.
To bring him up.
Probably that week.
I saw online.
But that was a different circumstance because you had the COVID stuff, and you could make that move. But Sunday morning.
That doesn't have nothing to do with what I was going to say. Somebody wrote like 5 paragraphs online that the Cowboys now are going to go for it on 4th down, and they will go for 2 when they score a touchdown because they don't have a kicker on the roster. And I read it,
smart man,
and I said, okay, tongue-in-cheek, right? Trying to be funny. And I read it again, and I go, no, there's no humor in this. This is just
he's for real.
Yeah, it's like you just don't know what you don't know.
Was Dak Prescott at practice?
No, he's
As a matter of fact,
he ran out there.
Yes, Dak Prescott at practice today.
Mike said he was told
not
to
suited up.
Stay home and heal.
I thought they weren't supposed to. Wait, didn't we have something?
He's on.
No, he's not. He's on. They didn't put him on IR.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah.
He's on the 53.
Okay.
Has he got a cast?
John Machota tweeted out the picture of
He probably
Dak
took
with
it
a
off.
smile on his face running out on the practice field.
He probably took it off.
Couldn't tie him down.
He'll put it back on when he goes back in there full of pain.
And there is
Race.
Whatever it is, there's a covering over his thumb.
Just the thumb?
And it looks like it's on his wrist. It
Yeah,
goes
the
up
whole thing.
You know, the thing about Dak, I was tongue-in-cheek yesterday talking about how he's different from everybody else, no pain and all of this kind of stuff. He needs to be careful sometimes. your enthusiasm and your wanting to be the leader of this team, man, sometimes you can hurt yourself. You come back too soon. You can rush things.
Well, think about staying out there after he broke it. Mm-hmm. And he ended up doing that lob on the screen pass. Mm-hmm. And then he finally was like, okay, I can't throw the ball.
Right. Well, he wasn't sure he was hurt then.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure
he just felt it. He thought he just jammed it. And
if you ever broke
the mind is very strong,
right.
But it ain't that damn strong.
If you ever broke a bone,
have you ever broke a finger?
Yeah.
No.
I broke a finger. I was probably playing Irving YMCA football, 9 or 10 years old.
Tight end?
No, they had me playing defensive tackle.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, why would I be playing defensive tackle?
Footwork, man.
Yeah. So anyway, I broke my right index finger. Oh, my God. Did that hurt?
It's a burning sensation, like you're on fire, right?
And you try to get rid of it real fast. I remember when I did mine, I tried quickly, but I was older. I was in college, and I tried quickly just to pop it back into place because it was going sideways. And, you know what I mean? But that's the best you can do. You like, boom, and give me some tape, and you're done because, you're on scholarship. You're trying to make the team.
That's what he thought. He had, just needed to pull the thumb, right? And I remember, so when Gogan was playing for the Cowboys, Kevin Gogan, offensive lineman, and Troy, dislocated a finger or whatever, and he got back to the huddle, and he goes, okay, Gogan, come on, pull it back in place. Yeah. And he's got Gogan tucking on his it's like you're tucking on an $11 million man. What are you doing?
Yeah, I did the same. As a matter of fact, I broke mine twice. I did it when Jimmy got here. I did my senior year, when I was my junior year. Then when Jimmy was here, I did it again. And you just kind of just pop it back. And
kind of why Staubach walks around with that little finger,
because when it's
45
done,
degrees to the right.
The effort that goes into fixing a pinky finger is not worth. You know what I mean? It's like Ronnie Lott. Just cut off some of it. Because if you put the brace on, it is painful. Unless you got pain pills or something, which I didn't have. You put that brace on, you're gonna feel that brace all the time as they try to push it back into place. Finally, I just threw the thing off. It doesn't do any good.
Did you ever get one of those mallet fingers? You sprain the joint, and
right here,
and it swells up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had that a couple times because I was stupid me when playing tennis. Instead of just letting the ball go, I try to catch it with my left hand, and it comes right on the top like that.
That's it.
Oh God!
I did a Bill Jones. I heard this doing yard work.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
I did a Bill Jones.
There you go. All right. Hey, let's take a break. How about we take a break?
Good.
And there's so much more to get
to.
Yes, when we come back here on Mick Shots.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh. She's doing great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a broken traffic light. Stop and go is the name of my game. It's easy. You go, they go. Or was it, they go, you go? And if you have the wrong car insurance, these repair costs could stop you in your tracks. So get Allstate's new low auto rate and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Not available in every state based on coverage and limits selected. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Back to Mick Shots.
Cape Post Roofing and Waterproofing, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. From corporate homes to your home, have your roof checked by choice, not by chance. Call now, 214-225-4860, and that's capepostcompany.com.
All right, we continue with Mick Shots on a Thursday. We look ahead to those Cincinnati Bengals who will be here for a 3:20 kickoff on Sunday afternoon, 3:25 kickoff Sunday afternoon. And you had a chance to take a good close look at this Cincinnati team coming off a loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers last week.
I did.
An overtime loss in which the offense ran 100 plays. So the Dallas defense is certainly able to, has plenty of material off one game to scout what Cincinnati does on offense. 100 plays in one game.
Well, this says 94. I wonder if they didn't count the overtime plays
I don't know.
in the stats. But whatever, and not only did they run 100 plays, highlighted here is 432 yards for a team that only scored 20 points. But that's what happens when you turn the ball over 5 times.
Feast or famine. Feast or famine.
And think about, so, and they also, so what did I say, for what, 432?
Over 400.
So they had 39 yards in losses on the sacks. And there were 7 of them, by the way, 7. But think about this. Their defense held Pittsburgh to 267 yards. They held Pittsburgh, I figured out, to, while they ran for 75, they had 2 runs for 26. So they had 20 carries for 59 yards. They weren't even averaging on those other carries 3 yards a carry. So they stuffed the run and they stuffed the pass because Trubisky only threw for 194 yards.
Typical Pittsburgh game. Defense runs the show. That's just the way it is. That's the toughness that they have. I don't care who's quarterbacking. They're going to find a way to win the ball game. You got to admire that.
But Cincinnati kind of has that same mindset.
Yeah,
you know,
offensively especially.
They but Cincinnati now with that quarterback that they've got, the interesting thing when I look at Cincinnati in that game and really the last few years, we talk about Zeke being the bell cow for the Cowboys offense. Joe Mixon, man, they rely a ton on Joe Mixon.
You see the carries in that game?
He had. Yes,
27
carries, and he had 7 other receptions. So he had 34 touches in that game. And if you look at his numbers last year, he was 3rd in the league in touches last year. And he had 4 playoff games on top of that. So he had 16 games in the regular season, didn't play 1 game. All right, so he played 20 games overall. He had 419 touches last season. So it was 292 carries during the regular season and 42 receptions. And then you count his postseason as well. He has put his body through a lot.
He has always been, cause he's from Oklahoma, so he's one of my favorite players just coming out of college. But just the way he runs the ball, he's not trying to lay in, he's not trying to fit in or fold in. He goes in with violence.
But having watched him going back to college as well, you can see his maturity as a running back now too. He's got some Le'Veon Bell in him in that now there's a patience when he reaches the line of scrimmage to find the hole, and then he still got that explosion through the hole too.
Does. Yes, he does.
And just a very durable guy. So
the other thing, and I'm kind of harping on their defense because I think we know about their offense, they really only gave up 13 points in 4 quarters because 7 was the interception return on the second play of the game for a touchdown for Pittsburgh, and then the field goal in overtime. So they held Pittsburgh to 13 points in 4 quarters.
Well, to that point, Pittsburgh had the Minkah Fitzpatrick pick six to start the game, second play of the game for Cincinnati on offense, 7-0. And then they had a strip sack of Burrow, took over 2 series later, took over at the 34-yard line, and got stuffed on the goal line and kicked a 20-yard field goal. So they had 30 yards of offense, basically, and 10 points on the board. Next possession, they had an interception and took over at their own 41-yard line, and that was their touchdown drive of 58 yards in 7 plays to go up 17-3. In the second quarter of that game. So then from then on, they scored 6 points in the next 3 quarters, basically.
So this might speak of Pittsburgh's offense. It's like, how do you get that many takeaways
and not score more points?
And not score more than 13 points. That's impossible.
You have your quarterback. I mean, you know where that starts. They don't have a good running game now that Najee Harris has gone down. Now, that was something that significant that happened in that ball game. Now, did he finish the game? I'm not sure.
He had 10 carries for 23 yards.
Najee was still in the game late. I'm looking at you'll be proud of me. I stayed up till 1 o'clock last night, and I watched the entire game and actually logged it too. But he came out late in the game. Last carry I have from him was in the fourth quarter.
It was the first play of not the first play of the fourth quarter. They had first and 10 at the Pitt 17.
Right,
he lost 2 yards,
yep.
And that looks like the last time.
Yeah, but what I was impressed with Cincinnati's defense was their front four and their linebacker Logan Thomas, who's a 3-down linebacker, had 4 picks last year, a 5th if you count in the postseason also. But they're and Mike McCarthy talked about it a little bit during his press conference today, the second and third effort of their front four. And those guys up front, Trey Hendrickson, who has a lot of speed off the edge, and they line him up at right defensive end every play. And Sam Hubbard is the strong side or the left defensive end every single play. And they basically played every single play. I mean, they had, I think Pittsburgh ran 63 plays, and both those defensive ends were on the field for 59 of the 63 plays. And then their tackles, DJ Reader and B.J. Hill in the middle, those were guys on that goal line stand I'm talking about. DJ Reader, and that second and third effort, and he's just strong as an ox in there in the middle, 340-pound guy.
They played in Pittsburgh?
What's that?
Was the game in Pittsburgh?
It was in Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. Yeah.
So they played all of these plays. I mean, that's like almost playing 1.5 ball games, right? So now you got to travel to Dallas. And I wouldn't call it an early game, but it's a mid-afternoon game. I think we need to look at every straw that we can get.
To say, okay, there's a positive.
I'm telling you.
And
we need to look at every straw we can give because a great defense you talked about with an offense that will never quit.
But Hendrickson, we talk all we want about Michael Parsons and his 13 sacks. Well, Hendrickson had 14 sacks last year, and he had 3 more in the playoffs.
You're talking 3 downs, and he's balling like that.
Yeah. And then Hubbard, I'm just as impressed with Hubbard at left defensive end too. Really good players.
So you'll be glad to know, since you basically kicked the backup tight end deep snapper out of the league, that Cincinnati has signed a new long snapper, rookie Carl Adamitis. His first NFL snap will be against the Cowboys. After 13-year veteran Clark Harris, I think it was a torn bicep he suffered.
Yeah, you can't deep snap if you got a torn bicep. No.
I wonder if he threw it back there too fast or too hard. It was probably in coverage, right? Because he probably snapped for the punts too. So, yeah, they didn't keep that tight end that Bill keeps
So you're saying that's the reason McPherson missed his extra point?
Well,
Yeah.
one got blocked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the field goal.
After a slow snap by the backup
Yeah, I
tight
saw
end.
that slow snap. Yeah, thank you.
I sent that to you last night.
No, you did. I thought Chris said
No,
it.
I sent that to you
That's
last
good
night.
stuff.
All I
That's
got to
good
say,
stuff.
the snap might have been slow, but that guy that came through
It
that
was Fitzpatrick. Yeah.
It was
That's
Fitzpatrick.
the dude,
It's
man.
like no one
He is
blocked
a
him.
stud.
Yeah.
How do
He's
you
a stud,
not?
man.
Nobody blocked
He knows
him.
what he's doing, man. That's not an accident.
That's right.
That guy
That's
knows
right.
what he's doing. Fitzpatrick is a baller.
He might have blocked it. You're right. He might have blocked it if it was the regular snapper,
Thank you.
too.
He saw him.
Yeah.
Kickers see.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that kicker, when he sees him, they can see, they're looking at the ball, but they can have their peripheral on something that might break through. And he broke through
Well,
fast.
here's the instincts of Mika Fitzpatrick. He understands that is a backup tight end who's snapping that ball, and so he knows he's got a chance to get in there and block that kick. And sure enough, he did.
Especially if he doesn't get blocked.
Yeah.
So let's look at it like this. So the Colts, they just cut their kicker.
Rodrigo
Blankenship. He just cut him.
That was Indianapolis.
Indianapolis.
Yeah, the Colts did. Oh, I thought you said the coach.
I'm sorry, the
yeah,
Colts.
the Colts.
The coach, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the coach was smart.
Well, you know what? Not only did he miss the field goal that he missed a very makeable field goal, but he had two kickoffs that went out of bounds. And I was talking to somebody about it, and they said not only did it go out of bounds, it didn't even come close to reaching the goal line. It was short and out of bounds. And they were like, all right, you're out of here.
Wow.
And you saw
Now that's some Tom Landry stuff right there.
and I can't remember. I said it yesterday, right? The Jets, Salah, is that how you say the coach's name?
Yep.
Sally.
He got all over Steve Zerline. Zerline missed. He made one and missed one
Greg
from 40.
Zerline.
Greg, I said Steve. I keep
Steve
wanting to do that.
Berline.
Yeah, Berline, Zerline, Greg. You know what? I wrote that one day and I caught myself.
Thank goodness.
It's not Steve. He made it from 45. He missed from 45, and he missed one of two extra points.
Wow.
And Salah said, we can't win football games when we miss field goals and we miss extra points.
Hell, we could have told him that. He should have just asked us.
Before he signed him for $2-3 million. Yeah.
You know what I like? One of the things I like most about this show? How human we are.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Steve Zerline.
Coach.
All right. How about we what's next on the agenda there, Mickey? What do you got?
We talked about Cincinnati. We really haven't discussed Cooper Rush.
All right, we're talking Cooper Rush when we come back here on Mix Shots.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. I'm a broken traffic light. Stop and go is the name of my game. It's easy. You go, they go. Or was it they go, you go? And if you have the wrong car insurance, these repair costs could stop you in your tracks. So get Allstate's new low auto rate and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Not available in every state based on coverage and limits selected. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Brace yourself for an existential question. Has your butt been having enough fun lately? Have you been treating it well? Has it been going places? If not, then it's about time you start using SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the best way to get your butt tickets to live events. Just ask the thousands of other butts who have rated it the #1 ticketing app. So what are you waiting for? Download the app now or visit SeatGeek.com to get tickets to sports, concerts, and live events and make your butt happy. SeatGeek. Get your seat in a seat.
Back to Mick Shots.
Join. This is different. This isn't.
Yes, you picked up the wrong thing, there, buddy. There it
What was I
is.
saying about how human we
Well,
are?
We are human.
Too many papers.
Yeah, no, I distracted you.
Get
I
outta
distracted you with my phone call.
Are you a Cowboys fan who spices up the game? Nominate yourself or a friend to be the Cowboys Fan of the Year, presented by Captain Morgan, and win a trip to Super Bowl 57 in Arizona. Nominate yourself or a friend at DallasCowboys.com/fan of the year.
Flawless. Good job.
Very good.
And
wow.
I recognized
After
it
another
was the
false
wrong
start
one
penalty
right away.
That was like a double false start.
Yeah.
But yet he
10
still comes
yards
across
here.
the finish
Yeah.
line in world-class fashion.
That's right. And now he is perusing my media guide because he is looking up the stats on Cooper Rush from his start against the Minnesota Vikings last year. And he is going to illuminate the room with all sorts of details about Cooper Rush and how Cooper Rush is going to lead this team to a victory on Sunday afternoon.
Doable.
Right, Mickey?
Doable.
Well, and I keep saying that he came in and he beat Minnesota 20-17. It was 20-16, by the way. But it was his first NFL start, and he completed 24 of 40 passes for 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. And it was the second most passing yards by a Cowboys quarterback in his first NFL start since Gary Hogeboom, 1984.
I was going to say Steve Berline.
In the season opener, by the way, after everybody petitioned for Hogeboom to be the starter, and he threw for 343
Here.
against the Rams.
Here,
You petitioned for who?
Hogeboom.
You did.
I did.
Don't you remember they benched Danny White?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't remember, though, that Everson was the one.
I was right there.
Uh-huh.
I was never one of those guys be like, hey, sources say. No, I said it. I said it. Sorry, guys.
Your name was on
I
it.
said it. If I say it, I said it. So, no, it was, I've gotten, who was mad at me? Henry Wade? Was that his name? Who's the columnist? He's passed on since. He's very heralded.
Blackie
No,
Sheridan?
Harless.
Wade.
Yeah.
If it was Wade.
He did not
Harless
like
Wade.
that. He did not like that.
Harless Wade.
He was on my butt for the whole season.
And the
after
Cowboys
that.
won that game 20-13 against the Rams, and then they lost to the Giants the next week, won 1, 2, 3 in a row, and then lost to St. Louis in Washington. And somewhere in there towards the end, I think might have been by the time you got to Buffalo, Hogeboom got yanked, and Danny White went back to be the starter.
Mm-hmm.
Henry Wade was the American lawyer who served as a district attorney of
Sounds
Dallas
very
County.
familiar.
And Jack Ruby, Lee Harvey Oswald.
That's why I said it with a question mark. My human question mark, yes.
It's close.
Yeah, we all got it.
At least we get one name right.
I don't believe Henry and Harless were related. But
Oh, boy.
Could have been. Could have been. I don't know.
Harless was a beauty.
He was.
an absolute beauty.
Okay, so Cooper Rush. Okay, what can Cooper Rush take from what he saw from Dak Prescott's game on Sunday against Tampa and apply it to this week?
Well, if Cincinnati chooses to play it the same, he could see that they are going to play for the Cowboys to get the ball out quickly, short routes, and if they're not running the football, dropping those linebackers in, not necessarily into coverage, but to kind of muck up the zone, so you got to throw over them. Because if you throw under them, they're going to be right there.
They can't be everywhere, Spags.
Right.
Either you're going
Can't
to play
do
the
both,
run or you're
right?
going to be back on the pass. So we're going to have to determine what they do.
You know, one of the things, and this is Cincinnati, I'm going back to Cincinnati's offense, and we talk about running the football. I mean, they made a concerted effort in that game. What I was impressed with Cincinnati's offense, they made a concerted effort to give the ball to Joe Mixon. And as much, they passed for how many yards did Burrow pass for?
380 plus, yeah.
338.
And I don't think it was because he had so many turnovers early in that game. That was what they do. They give the ball to Mixon a lot. And there's not a lot of trick. They don't trick it up. In fact, they'll give it to him 1st and 10. They gave it to him. They would have a false start, and they would give it to him on 1st and 15. He'd get 5 yards at 2nd and 10. And then they'd give it to him again for 5 yards, and now you're facing a 3rd and 5. They just make a concerted effort to do that, and I can see where if the Cowboys will implement that, especially, and they have some of the same limitations the Cowboys have with inexperience on their offensive line. Yes, they got Lyle Collins playing right tackle. We know the issues that they had even last year, and they have similar issues again this year on their offensive line. Where they know they need to establish that run in order to create the time and space for Burrow to make plays in the passing game. Didn't they spend a lot of
money on the O-line this offseason?
They signed a couple of interior guys.
And it just
and Collins too. Collins was 3 years. Was
3 years, $21 million.
Yeah.
But not much in the first year. It was a $5 million year.
Yeah, but Alex Kappa was the guard from Tampa Bay, and then Ted Karras from New England's their starting center. So there's 3 guys right there.
So here's another amazing thing of them winning the game with Rush against Minnesota. They only ran for 78 yards, 24 carries, 78 yards, and they had 11 penalties for 96 yards and missed a field goal, and they still won. Somehow, some way.
Well, we did get a little luck there on the Amari Cooper pass for the touchdown. If I'm not mistaken, DB was playing us for the short route, and I think he jumped it. And
he ran right by him?
Yeah, I think it deflected off the defender or something, but it was a really goofy touchdown in our favor.
Well, and they ended up with 413 yards total offense. So here's the deal with him. He's not flashy, right? He doesn't have this fantastic personality. And the guys were talking about it. Zeke was talking about it in the locker room. He said, he goes, he's pretty quiet. He goes, but when he gets in the huddle, he's pretty fiery, and he's very confident in what he's doing. And that's what you want in your backup quarterback, right? You don't want him coming in and calling the play kind of, I don't know,
You can tell he's about to.
It's like, okay, I'm in charge here. Here's the play, and by golly, do what you're supposed to do.
He has confidence because of his preparation.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what makes a good backup quarterback, right? Because you got to prepare because you ain't getting the snaps.
No. You have to come in ready to go. You can't come in lackadaisical. The sense of urgency has to be evident in your voice and how you're in the huddle, which is something that you want. But then when you go out there and play, you better realize one thing. You don't have the same receivers you had last year.
Right.
You have, I think, a better defense this year. So I wouldn't go into the game the way I went into the game against the Vikings. I would be a little bit more conservative. We came out against the Vikings. We didn't care. We still had the great wide receiver duo in Lamb and Coop. We had Cedric. And so we weren't afraid to pass the ball. And, of course, we had Schultz. So I say we tone it down a little bit and realize that we have to cater to our defense and to our running game.
Feed the monster.
And that's what I was getting at with Cincinnati. Even though Cincinnati has firepower on offense, they seem to their strategy is their offensive game plan is to tone it down.
If we had Chase and then is it Huggins or Higgins?
T. Higgins.
If you had Chase and Higgins, we would be passing
Tyler
the ball
Boyd
every down.
Tyler Boyd too.
He
There's
couldn't
3
help
guys.
himself.
Yeah.
He couldn't help himself. Our offensive coordinator would be passing every down when he look at those riches.
Well, and we'll see with Higgins because he did practice on a limited basis, but he left the game with a concussion, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see where that one goes. But they seem pretty healthy to this point. So
the other thing with Rush, he's not a young guy.
No.
I mean, he's basically the same age as Dak. He's 29 or 28, 29.
You like that
turns
maturity.
29 in
You like
November
that maturity
21st.
from a backup.
Yeah, somehow we got talking about that when I did my fan thing, and they were talking about Cowboy quarterbacks with their first start. and they brought up Reggie Collier, and I said, okay.
Oh, no.
I said,
we don't want to remember that one.
I said, okay, let's just stop right there. I said he was like the third quarterback, and it was the last game of the season as I remembered, and I was right. And he was so unprepared. If I remember the story, they were in the huddle, and he needed help calling the plays because he was not prepared. That was his last NFL game.
Yes.
Well, and
first
Chicago
and
Bears?
last, it was the Bears.
That was
Yeah.
ugly. Ooh, that was an ugly game.
And
that's one of those Tom Landry's like, I'll show you. You guys not going to run this team. I'll be running this team.
24-10 got beat.
And you can kind of compare that to the DiNucci start, because
Same
DiNucci,
thing.
yeah.
But it's not that he didn't have a chance, right? Because he didn't get any snaps, but at least know what you're doing when you get in the huddle.
Yeah, but he was physically, I don't know. He just seems like just a college quarterback.
Which
Nooch.
Well, Collier too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Exactly.
Which is a funny. Oh, I don't have time. Real quick, funny story. So Missouri played Southern Mississippi in a bowl game in Florida that year, Jacksonville, whatever they called it back then.
Citrus Bowl.
It was
probably.
the Gator Bowl, or it was whatever.
Tangerine Bowl. Gator Bowl.
Tangerine or Gator. What's in Orlando?
Oranges?
No, it's not.
Citrus.
Anyway.
You asked me what's in Orlando.
Citrus. And anyway, so Missouri's playing Southern Mississippi, and Missouri ended up winning. And there was a bunch of Southern Mississippi fans in front of us, and they were like, well, how many Heisman Trophy votes did your quarterback get? I said, I don't know, but he's got 27 points on the board right now.
And that was the last time Missouri went to a bowl game? Is that why?
No, that's
is that
not
why
the
you
last
brought that
time
up?
they went to a bowl game, young man. They've been to 2 SEC title games and to 2 Big 12 title games.
Thank you, Spags. We don't want your resume, man.
Yeah.
It's just Mizzou.
And that was what
it
year
ain't
was
that
that?
serious. It's just Mizzou.
Maybe 82,
81, the
81?
Tangerine Bowl.
Okay,
guys, y'all
Tangerine.
killing me.
Yeah.
I gotta go to a golf tournament. Y'all
Missouri
talking about
won
Missouri.
19-17. The last time the Missouri Tigers won a bowl game. All right, that does it for this edition of Mick Shots, and we'll talk at you again tomorrow at noon.
Cowboys.
Oklahoma 7-3.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?